Hey, what's up guys? My name is Philip and welcome to my channel Psych Pass Shoot Score, your channel for anything sports and sports psychology related. So if you enjoy any of those topics, if you like the sport of baseball, or I do other sports, for example basketball, football, and just learning more about sports and the mental side behind sports, if you enjoy any of those topics, make sure you subscribe for more content just like this. And as I've just been doing the last couple of weeks, loving learning a lot more about the sport of baseball, seeing some amazing highlights in the past couple of days and just learning a lot more about the different terminologies, the different strategies, both physically and mentally, that lots of teams actually perform. And so in this video, I've looked at so many different things previously on different rules and terminologies that a lot of athletes and a lot of teams and the whole sport just abides by. But what I haven't really seen is some of those unspoken rules. And so in this video today, what I want to do is kind of react to a video put out by ESPN looking at some of the unspoken rules in the sport of baseball. So unwritten rules just in general for a lot of sports that I'm really interested in and I've just learned and kind of just grown up with, I've really felt that they're kind of really important because it kind of sets the foundation for a lot of athletes coming up in the sport, just to make sure that they're respecting their opponent, they're respecting their club, and they're respecting the sport that's kind of provided them the opportunity to actually showcase those skills. So I definitely believe unwritten rules are very important, but of course depending on the sport they are a lot different. So definitely looking forward to learning a lot more about these unwritten rules here in the sport of baseball, and so let's get on with it.
Fernando Tatis Jr. is many things. He's a 22-year-old superstar shortstop.
Oh yeah, this guy is nice. Oh my goodness.
A lightning bolt of energy whenever he steps on the diamond. But the thing he's most well known for is breaking baseball's rules, especially the ones that no one ever bothered to write down. And now that Tatis is one of baseball's brightest young ambassadors, the question now is how much longer until today's stars make those rules a remnant of the sport's past?
Fair enough, let's learn some things. Cool.
Baseball's unwritten rules can be confusing, a little mysterious, and even hard to pin down. They can mean different things to a lot of different people. Last year, this Sports Center segment tried to make it a little bit clearer for all of us.
We finally found it, the unwritten rules of baseball, every single one of them in existence. And please note, of course, that goes back to the modern era, which started in 1900.
See, Nicole, what happened there is when that was up on the screen, the baseball players went like this and they were able to see it because they have that special unwritten rule.
Yeah, unwritten rules are always just so difficult to kind of define. I think it definitely depends on the sport, depends on what everyone kind of perceives as, okay, these are things that you can do, these are things that you can't do. So yeah, I think writing them down is definitely can be difficult.
All right, so maybe not, but maybe a major leaguer could help us out instead.
It's how you carry yourself on the field,
Harrison,
how you handle success, how you handle failure. And I think unwritten rules preserve that notion of respecting your opposition.
In short, the unwritten rules discourage showing off, instead demanding restraint over celebration, especially when your team is winning by a lot. The punishment for violating one of these rules often comes in the form of a pitch in the back or a beanball. All players.
Wow, so
learn
people
this
can
early
actually
on.
Of course there's unwritten rules and stuff like that, but then pitchers actually retaliate by like throwing the ball when that person is like next at bat. That is definitely some retaliation because those balls are hard and fast. So wow, that's definitely interesting. I think a lot of these unwritten rules, kind of no showing off in any way, that is really interesting. I thought at least the batters, I mean, they have so little chance of actually hitting the ball and getting a home run. So the times that they do, you would think that there would be a bit more flexibility for them to actually celebrate that. But I say no showing off in any way. I wonder how that kind of looks like in practicality.
All players learn this early on.
Oh yeah, like Little League. Probably
about 9-10 years old.
When I came to the States is when I first started learning about how much more strict those unwritten rules or that etiquette was.
Yeah.
The rules, they're self-perpetuating and have been for generations. Players police themselves.
I think it was my first week in the big leagues. I am stretching out with the team and I had my hat on backwards. I grew up with Ken Griffey Jr. This is what we did as kids. We had our hat on backwards. I remember this coming up to me, a veteran utility infielder, and saying, hey, turn that hat around. Let's go. This is the big leagues. This is the minor leagues. And you're not junior.
Wow, that is Wow, I didn't know it was that strict. Just a simple hat that's turned backwards. That's, wow, very strict. Huh?
Perez, Fernando Tatis Jr. grew up around big league clubhouses, but being the son of a major leaguer didn't insulate him from criticism in 2020. On August 17th, Tatis hit a grand slam on a 3-0 pitch in the 8th inning of a game. The Padres were already leading 10-3.
Okay.
The unwritten rules say he shouldn't have swung at that pitch in that situation, since it risks being interpreted as an attempt to run up the score. There was some disapproval, but many players came to Tatis's defense.
Really? Because just with all the different other sports that I've kind of just been paying attention, growing up, learning and loving, like I would assume that a disrespect to the opponent would be going easy on them, and instead of actually like giving it your best through the full duration of the match. But even if you are up by a lot but still giving that same intensity, I would assume that is kind of showing respect to them, showing respect to your opponent. But of course, with different sports and stuff like that, they have their unwritten rules, and that of course plays a factor into it. But me personally, I wouldn't perceive that as being something kind of disrespectful. But of course, in the sport of baseball, that's what it's perceived as. Fair enough.
Defense.
There's no way I'm telling him to calm it down.
Yeah.
There's no way that I'm going to scold him for swinging on a 3-0 pitch because he's competing.
You know, I think the unwritten rule in that situation would be like if Tatis like showed the other team up or something, which he didn't do at all.
I would have liked for his manager to kind of come to his defense a little bit and not necessarily make him apologize the way that it ended up happening.
Padres manager Jace Tingler did indicate that the shortstop should have kept the bat on his shoulder, and Tatis did apologize for the violation of etiquette. But someone who did not think an apology was even necessary is 13-year Major League veteran Carlos Gomez.
I call him and I tell, hey kid, keep doing what you're doing. You don't do nothing wrong. And I'm not agree with you that you say sorry. You ain't sorry for nothing. I mean, like, how many times you think you get in 3-0 and you're gonna hit a homer?
Gomez is well qualified to speak on the unwritten rules. In September of 2013, he found himself in the middle of his own controversy. Gomez hit a home run that he admired for too long, in the opinion of the Atlanta Braves.
For too long? What? There's a time frame where you can appreciate the work that you just produced. How long is too long? And the thing is, it's not the perception of like the whole league, it's literally just the perception of the opposing team that you looked and watched and admired your work for too long. That's interesting. What time frame is there? That's crazy.
And both sides exchanged words while he rounded the bases.
Oh yeah, he's
Pitcher Brian
feisty.
McCann blocked Gomez from crossing the plate, and the bench is cleared. But tuning into just that evening's game missed the situation's broader context. Earlier that season against the Braves, Gomez got hit in the knee by a pitch.
You almost like injuring my knee for nothing because I have a good at bat than you. Get me out.
So the next time he faced Mahalam,
and he told me a changeup, boom, home. And I screaming to him, now we even. You hit me, and I hit the homer. So now we even.
Retaliation from pitchers is baked into the unwritten rules, but Gomez's vengeance was considered taboo.
I do respect the team, the pitcher, they respect me. It's not a good thing to do, but as a man, I feel like if they respect me, and this is the only way to take good business in the field.
Condemnation followed Gomez off the field, too.
Yeah,
the reaction from the public made it clear that the on-field culture of Major League Baseball alienated those who didn't fit into a certain idea, the white American way of playing the sport. That while the unwritten rules are enforced across the board, their application more frequently puts non-white players in the path of retaliation. That even with more than a quarter of roster players born outside the United States, the idea of MLB being a showcase for multiculturalism is often more aspirational than reality.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I would assume just with a lot of the highlights or a lot of the matches that I've been seeing, there's definitely a lot of different ethnicities within just the MLB in general. So you would think that with all those different ethnicities and wanting to try and include them, wanting to try and promote them as the game's kind of evolving, you'd assume that they would be a bit more inclusive to the different cultures, the different celebrations, the different ethnicities, and include that within the sport. But it seems like that's not really the case, and maybe they're just sticking a bit more to their traditions of the past.